somebody who perhaps can help us understand, covering the Warriors and the NBA at large for The Athletic, the great Anthony Slater. Anthony, thanks for your time. What the heck happened last night?
A little fun, a little in-season tournament drama, just trying to juice up the IST, as they're calling it, a fight before there was a point scored. Do not think I've ever seen that.
Would you say that was a fracas, a melee, a scrap, or an all-out brawl, Anthony?
I wouldn't say all-out brawl because, no punches, but all the other terms I would say describe it.
Yeah. What's your take on it? What's your viewpoint on it? Was Gobert in the wrong? What did you see have actually happen out there?
Yeah, I thought the McDaniels Clay thing obviously set it off. That was like a weird jersey pull tug of war that turned a little bit darker than I think either of them wanted to. I thought they could have been fine with a double T, but then when it devolved into everything else, I guess the referee felt he needed to eject both of them. I think Gobert put himself in harm's way a little bit by, he went over to break it up, and the referee deemed him a peacemaker, didn't give him any penalty, but he did grab Clay. Well, I don't think it was to grab Clay to try to do anything to Clay except try to break it up. But once you grab Clay Thompson and your name is Rudy Gobert, you are in Draymond Green's crosshairs. And then what happened. Draymond obviously took it. I think people counted it. It was a 9-second, headlock, chokehold, whatever you want, bring him to the ground. And I would assume there will be discipline for Draymond Green at some point, either drop it in the next few hours or maybe tomorrow.
The Warriors' sixth game from here would be that tournament game at Golden One. I know we're just guessing here. What do you think the chances are the NBA suspends him for 6 or more games?
I don't think he'll get that high. I think 5 would probably be tops. Again, I'm guessing here.
Right.
There's game checks involved here too, so it's a pretty stiff penalty.
Yeah.
Look, Carmelo had that sucker punch years ago, got 10. That's usually on the pretty steep side. I don't want to get too deep into this. Like Mikal Bridges just has 10 to start this season. Think about what he's facing. I don't know. I was kind of guessing last night maybe 1 to 3, but I could see if the NBA wants to really kind of put their thumb on the scale because it's Draymond, I think 5 is the top side.
Anthony Slater joining us, covering the Kings and the Warriors, of course. Anthony, one thing we talked about is we feel like the league has enabled Draymond. The Warriors have enabled Draymond. The laundry list of things he's done, the Jordan Poole incident, stopping Sabonis. What's the Warriors organizational culpability in this in terms of enabling Draymond? Am I making too much of that?
Not necessarily, but they want to win, and they've decided to do business with him, and because he wins games, and he has for a decade. And you mentioned a few incidents. Go way back. Go to 2016. Getting suspended in the finals.
Yeah.
And, the aftermath of that. But they just signed him to a 4-year, $100 million deal after the Jordan Poole incident, right? So because he was great last year, he was like 3rd in defensive player of the year. And, he had the Sabonis stomp in the King series, but he was also good down the stretch of that King series. And they want to win titles, and they don't think anything he's done has risen to the level of breakup, clearly, because they keep signing him, and he is empowered to act as he wants to act, and people can have their issues with it, but he's made it very clear he's going to keep doing it. This is his second injection this week after his first injection had to do with the Donovan Mitchell incident in the Cleveland game. He went on Instagram and was like, "Don't tell me I can't be Draymond. I'm always going to be Draymond. I've succeeded being Draymond." And he's right. Think about how much money he's gotten paid. Think about, how much he's won. And, you can blame the league, you can blame the Warriors, but I think some of their opinions he creates content for us. He creates interest for the league. People are talking about the in-season tournament game last night. He's topic number 1 in sports, during an NFL calendar right now. So, I think their opinion is it's not the worst thing ever for the league. And he wins games.
See, that's what I think, Anthony. I think on some level it is good for the league. Anything involving the Warriors is good for the league, and that's why I think they won't go more than 3. But I wanted to ask you, and you answered part of this question already. Before last season, it seemed the Warriors were poised to move on from Draymond. Looked like they were about to move on from Draymond, and then they reverse field on that. What changed their minds?
He played well. Like I said, he was 3rd in defensive player of the year. Steph Curry extended his prime, which seems endless at this point, and proved to the front office and the ownership group who are making the decision that Steph was worth investing in, and that's correct. I would say, at this point, Steph's still a top 5 player, and part of Steph Curry's desires as he rides out this era, and it has been a very fruitful era for the Warriors organization that's included 4 titles and the sparkling new arena in San Francisco, has been Draymond Green, and it's Steph Curry's desire to keep him around to try to go after, 5th title. And the other, side of the coin is like Jordan Poole had a bad season, in some ways kind of, I guess you could say pouted his way out of town, and they decided this summer they needed to, move on from one of the two. And the one they chose was the younger one, who they didn't think could help win as much. And they flipped them for Chris Paul. And, they're the most ruthless way they can put it is they're in the business of winning. I think, we all understand that in sports, and they still believe Draymond Green, leads them towards that goal.
If you're Adam Silver, what do you do though? I maintain that there's a Draymond problem going on, and maybe I'm going too far. Maybe, my dislike of the Warriors is coming out here, Anthony, but you just said it. He got thrown out of a game on Saturday. Him and Anthony Edwards getting into it on Sunday. Then yesterday he gets ejected, for the headlock. I mean, when is enough? And is there an issue that's bigger that the league needs to take a look at when it comes to Draymond?
Yeah, I mean, as far as what he's going to do, he's going to give him a suspension that probably will be a little bit larger than if, random player X did something. If Obi Toppin did the same thing tonight, Obi Toppin's probably getting 2 to 3 games less. So there's a different penalty. And, they made it clear after the Sabonis stomp in the playoffs that part of their decision making was his past, like repeat offender, whatever you want to call it. But, I don't think, he's doing anything that's risen to the level of like, kick him out of the league or something like that. He's just going to kind of keep doing this. You're going to kind of have to keep responding incident by incident, and stiffen up the penalties as much as you'd like. But he's never done anything criminal or over the top or something that I would say hurts his standing in the league. You just kind of, like I said, got to go incident by incident. And, he's losing a lot of money within this. The technicals really eat at his pocketbook, and the ejections, particularly game checks. Like I said, if he gets 3-5 games right now, we're talking millions of dollars out of his pocket, which, whatever, if you don't care that much, or you don't think that's that big of a deal, a penalty for a guy that makes as much money as he does. But trust me, he cares. He's going to care about that money coming out.
Anthony Slater from The Athletic with us. For all the focus on, understandably, Draymond and Rudy Gobert, I've been trying to figure out why did this start. And it's interesting, I think McDaniel said that there was some back and forth between he and Clay. Well, the game had just started. So, Anthony, this is just a theory. What do you think it's possible that Clay shoots that air ball? McDaniel says something and Clay doesn't like. So then next time down the floor, Clay, instead of boxing out, he grabs a fistful of jersey, and then McDaniels retaliates, does the same, and things just kind of snowball from there? Yeah,
I think there's a little of that. I also think that, remember, this was the second of 2 games between these two teams, and, you guys have been around. It sets up this mini, playoff series where the Warriors were, their pride was, I think, wounded a little after that first loss. And they came into the game knowing Steph Curry wasn't going to be there, knowing how physical Minnesota had played in the first game. And they were like, let's up the physicality.
Yeah,
let's crack them on box outs. They had to win that game ugly without Steph Curry. That was the thought going in. Jaden McDaniels is kind of like the defensive ace. He was going to be on Clay a lot because Steph wasn't out there. And I think Clay was trying to get physical on box out early in the game. And then what you're saying, I think is correct. It was a jersey pull, then it was another jersey pull, and then it kind of snowballed to a place. Again, I don't really think either was trying to really take it, and then it escalated.
Anthony Slater. Anthony, my last question, obviously we're up here in Sacramento, but when you look at what's happening with the Warriors, they started off so strong, won 5, they were 5-1, but since then they've lost 5 out of 6, 4 in a row. What's happening with Golden State? Who's the real Warriors, would you say?
What's funny is it's flipped. The trend's completely flipped from last year. I don't know if you remember, but they were amazing at home last year and could not win a road game. Right now they're 5-2 on the road and 1-4 at home. But what's happening? Andrew Wiggins is in a deep slump right now. He's 5 of 33 from 3, 50% from the free throw line. His handle's completely off. Clay's not shooting it well because those 2 secondary scores, neither have even scored 20 in a game yet, are so off. The starting lineup, which is supposed to be their backbone, has been their worst lineup. It's getting them in holes. I actually have liked what the depth has shown. Chris Paul in the second unit has been good. Pajemski kind of came out of nowhere last night. I don't know if how deeply y'all were watching the game, but I think they got a pretty good rookie. Moody's showing some stuff. I still am kind of waiting for Kuminga to come along. So, there's some good and bad early in the season. Steph still looks like a top 5 player, which is probably the biggest thing. But they got to get Wiggins and Clay going. And if they do, I do think they're in that mix, below the Nuggets, wherever you want to put them 2 through 7. If Wiggins and Clay don't get going, Steph just doesn't have enough offensive help. And then I think their flaws really start to show.
Slates, thanks so much for your time. We always appreciate it. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, fellas. Big road trip to the Kings coming up.
Hey, you going to be out there? You out at any of those games?
I wanted to make the LA game. I don't think I could. Last night kind of took a little out of me, and then I don't think I can make the backside. I would. That you mentioned that in-season tournament game though. That Warriors Kings.
Yeah,
there could be some stuff on the line. Especially Vegas might be on the line.
You're right about that. Yeah. All right, we'll see you then. That's 2 weeks from yesterday. Yes.
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, with the scoop on whatever that was that went